Let's start with the foundational model training, which is in public preview now. This is the foundational model tuning API, as we used to call it. And what we're trying to do is take any foundational model and actually customize it, tune it on our own data. This is not a full pre-training job. This is we take a pre-trained model and we tune it, we apply our own data on top. So if we take here the announcement page, the foundational model training, what it does is, again, you can customize your model to your data, and you can save all your checkpoints to MLflow. So we have a complete integration with MLflow out of the box, which is amazing. Apart from MLflow, you can register all your new models into Unity Catalog. So we keep the same governance model, right, as across any data engineering, machine learning, analytic job.
One of the great advantages of doing fine-tuning is that if you have like a data set that's very specific, so for example, you want your LLM to understand legal jargon and do legal analysis very well, it's unlikely that even some of the most powerful LLMs will do a good job. So it can be really good to just fine-tune it on basically this particular training data set that is specific to your domain, or in the medical sector, for example.
Exactly. So in which case should you go and try this? In case you have done a few set learning, so into your prompt, you were giving some specific example of inputs and outputs, and the model was kind of getting it, but it needed a little bit more help. Or if you were putting a big prompts into the model and you want to kind of maximize the prompt you pass. So instead of repeating yourself every time, you can actually tune a model to learn what you pass into the prompt mainly. If you want to have your full ownership of the model, you own the weights, you know the model, this is a completely customized model to your own data. And if you want to also train a much smaller model, so if you don't need a big model to be served, which is like more expensive and slower probably, depending how big it is, you can make a smaller customizable model to your own data. So these are the cases where foundational model training would do the trick for you. There are three kinds of tuning jobs we can do. One is the supervised fine-tuning, where mainly what you do is you collect questions and answer pairs of data, right? And you choose the pre-trained model, and then you pass the data and you continue the tuning of the model given this question answer data set. The next one is the continued pre-training, where here it's kind of the unsupervised version of the tuning. So instead of giving question answers, you're just giving some extra text, as you said, legal documents. And you let it learn and tune itself on this legal specific data set. And then chat completion, you have different chat logs. And again, this is a different kind of instruction data set, right? So you have chats instead of question answer, and you tune the model into these specific conversations.
And so in terms of when should you use it, do I understand right that if you're basically like using a really large model, but you see a lot of latency and it's very slow, you should maybe consider that, because then you can select a smaller model, but then because it's fine-tuned, it's going to be almost as performant as a large model, except it's small. So
yeah, but it's gonna perform better on your own specific task. Right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
The training API is available in specific AWS regions, as you can see here. Of course, new regions are gonna come up as we go. And you can install it into your cluster and access it as a library. So Databricks GenAI pip install, and you can access it with ML runtime 12.2 LTS. And on the above, as you can imagine. And of course, your data needs to be on a Delta table. Now, in terms of models and in terms of which are, the pre-trained models that we can keep tuning, we have here a list of models that we can tune with different context lengths, depending your needs and requirements. And
it's good to clarify that obviously you cannot fine-tune on proprietary models, yes. Right? It's only on open source ones.
Yes, good call.
Yeah. Which is great for costs from a cost perspective. Yeah,
true. So in order to use this API, the model has to be open. Makes sense. And here you can see how to start with and how easy it is to kick off the job. To be honest, we have abstracted a lot from you so that you can start very quickly. And some limitations here is on the dataset size. So bigger datasets than 10 billion tokens are not supported at this point. In terms of private links, so if you have a workspace with private link at this point is not supported. This pretending is when we provide just the files. So we have specific limitations on the size of the files. Just be aware of that.
Great.
And just make sure that you keep updated on what models we provide here for tuning, because as you can imagine, new and new models come into play. We'll probably start not using some older models and providing only newer models for you to tune.
And so once you've built like this custom, like fine-tuned model, then you can just log it to UC and serve it from there, right?
Exactly. So when you have it, then you can find it under UC models. So you can log it with UC as well, manage it with UC, and then you can serve it with the model serving through UC models. And also you can set it in the playground as well. So in your playground where you can choose different models and pass different prompts and see how they perform against each other, you can pass these models to the foundational model, to the playground.
Is there an advantage to using like continuous pre-training versus the other one? I can't remember
what extraction. Yeah. It's a different job, right? So when you need different data set preparation. Yeah. So if you have the data set from chat conversations or from Q&A, you have collected those.
Makes sense to start with
instruction. If you wanted to learn different kind of vocabulary, different language, or
like legal text.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not different vocabulary actually, but understand different language, like legal text, as you said. Then that you just pass legal documents to it. Then you don't need to teach it how to answer a question in a specific way, right?